work great because America is in love with being ripped off and scammed and cheated, and that's why we're going to go the way of Nazi Germany or Stalinist Russia, unless we wake up quick. So my point is that secret arrest of citizens, face scanning cameras, downloading our phones with no warrants, UN running the military.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know?
Okay, I started to tell you what's coming up today, and of course, burrowed right into the first top story that I've been harping on since last Tuesday when the Pentagon went before Congress and said, you have no authority over war now. And the Congress is like, well, the Constitution, we declare war, we fund you, we commission the officers, because the founders knew you don't just let the president pick his officers and fund everything. You'll get a president who'll take over, like in every other country. And the Pentagon, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman Joint Chiefs, the Chairman Dempsey, looked at him and said, no, we take orders from the UN. And the senators actually started flushing. Their faces turned red, and they sounded like Porky Pig on I mean, they couldn't even talk. They couldn't even, and I couldn't talk when I saw it. And now it's not even a news issue. Impeachment has begun against Obama. Did you open up your paper Wednesday morning and read that, or Thursday, or Friday, or Saturday, or Sunday? The answer is no. I did web searches every day since. My entire team did. Nothing. Nothing. That's why the newspapers are dying. That's why people are tuning out of mainstream television, because they've got to find somebody that will tell them what's really going on. I remember it was in the radiation monitors. It was on the foreign news that 5 of the 6 reactors had blown up at Fukushima and melted down. That's a year ago now today. It's the anniversary. We have Greg Palast, one of the few good mainstream reporters, investigative journalists with BBC, and he's done work for ABC News. You name it, he's going to be joining us in the last 30 minutes today because he's been over to Japan and covered it. But I watched 2 of the reactors blow up with mushroom clouds. And then I had top physicists, nuclear physicists on, like Dr. Busby, who's also a chemical engineer on top of it. You know, it advises the EU and the UK government. And they had the different radiation sensors picking up the different types of fallout. And so it's like a fingerprint. They knew that fission, massive fission, including explosions, small atomic explosions, which are possible and have happened before in Russia, had taken place in 2 of the reactors, especially the MOX-3 plutonium General Electric reactor. And, of course, months and months later, they admitted it was true. I was no expert. I just went and had experts on and looked at the makeup of those General Electric reactors, that particular plutonium, uranium-based one. They only had 1 of those, almost 40 years old, only supposed to go 20 years. That radiation just eats through the metal, the concrete, everything. These things are rotten. They're like a 110-year-old man's heart. And you've got them climbing up 500 flights of stairs every day. What do you think's going to happen? That's why 9 out of 10 reactors, the federal government even admits, the Department of Energy, are leaking radiation worldwide. 9 out of 10. They melt down in Southern California, not even news anymore. They have meltdowns in Illinois and Nebraska and releases in Canada. I mean, I every few weeks I see a little blurb. There was some radiation. Don't worry, the EPA's raised what they say safe. But I remember going and looking at the manufacturer, getting nuclear physicists on. They're like, wow, how do you know all this? I'm like, well, I looked at the plans and I noticed they're storing the fuel rods for 40 years on top of these reactors, and it looks like fuel rods being ejected in the mushroom cloud. In fact, roll the mushroom cloud over me for Prisonplanet.tv viewers. If you're a radio listener, just Google Fukushima mushroom clouds. Some of these clouds were 3,000 plus feet in the air. And I could see in the higher res videos of it what looked like fuel rods. So I went and checked and found out they were storing the spent fuel rods on top of the reactors. About 6 months after, the New York Times admitted, oh, they found fuel rods 1.5 miles away, and the Japanese government just buried them where they found them. Now, all those millions of tons of junk from Fukushima and the coastline is now, a year later, as we told you, hitting the California and Baja and Western Canada shores. with plutonium all over it. And you know what, the radiation's going up, but it's a minor university footnote at Berkeley that, yeah, we picked up 127 times the normal safe level of this type of radioactive isotope, and we picked up a higher thing here, but it's a lot bigger than Chernobyl. You know, just the MOX 3 reactor they estimate is more than 20 Chernobyls. But Chernobyl, you know, it only quadrupled cancer rates in those areas of Europe around it. This all and the trade winds blew over to America. You know what we do today? We just say everything's fine. And that's my point about the globalists. When we come back from break, I have a Darren McBreen InfoWars special report that we first premiered last Friday evening on the InfoWars Nightly News, where we went out on the streets. You may have seen it. This actually did get reported in a few publications about 3 weeks ago. You may have heard there was a big fight over releasing the research on a killer weaponized bird flu that's been designed to jump into humans and be airborne and kills, you're lucky. This only kills 83, 85% of the humans it comes in contact with when it was able to jump. Of course, it's souped up now, but only 80-something%. The airborne Ebola they've developed, our government, the airborne swine flu, the airborne human mousepox. Now, those are killing 98, 99, the Ebola, 93, 95. You know, it all varies. And under biodefense, they've got over 200 labs across the United States that are in level 2 facilities that you get into with a swipe card and wear a mask. And in this report coming up, McBreen's got all the numbers where the government says per lab, they estimate 70% chance. 70+% chance that this stuff will get out of one of these labs per lab in the next few decades. And there's 200 plus in the United States alone, like the University of Texas here at Austin has a level 4 bioweapon lab and a level 2 facility. And I've had people in government call me before and say, you ought not be talking about nuclear reactors in North Austin. You ought not be talking about the bioweapons research at UT out at the monkey farms out at Bastrop. And I've said to these government people, they're not calling up threatening me. They're, you know, they're listeners, or I run into them, or they reach out to me and it turns out they are government. And they're saying terrorists might hit there. Look, the terrorists already know this is all there. You mean the terrorists like our government's putting in charge of Libya and trying to have invade Iran and Syria? You mean that Al-Qaeda? The ones they're using in Uganda to start a civil war? You mean those that the CIA created? You mean those? See, I'm the bad man for the fact that UT has 2 giant, for research reactors, they're as big as they get, nuclear reactors in North Austin. Or bioweapon labs downtown Austin and in Bastrop. Just not supposed to talk about that, because I'm the bad guy for telling you it's there, you have to understand. See, I'm not afraid of imaginary terrorist that I got a 1 in 3.5 million, was it 1 in 3.5 plus million chances of dying from each year as an American. I'm actually worried about stuff that if it's released, will kill everybody. And government all day claims they're taking our rights away to keep us safe, but meanwhile, they're endangering us with all these laboratories, like the University of Texas, not picking on them, it's just where I live, at Galveston with a level 4 bioweapons lab with stuff in it that'll kill 9 out of 10 people if it gets out. Okay? That's my point. They can't control Fukushima. They can't control these bioweapons. Special report coming up.
When you're out on the road.
All right, let me settle down just a little bit and get back into our special report here dealing with super weaponized Ebola, bird flu, mousepox that kill between 83 to 99% of the humans they come in contact with, depending which variant it is. And, of course, if you were actually watching us at Prisonplanet.tv, you'd actually be able to see all the articles as Darren McBreen is talking to people on the street here in Austin, Texas. But I find Austin is a good sample for the rest of the country and the world for that matter. But my central point here is we're lectured all day about giving our rights up because the government cares about us and wants to take care of us. But the government itself is just a wide-open slot machine for special interests to come in and buy off bureaucrats to basically shut down their competition, give them government bailouts, you name it. And so if you have a family like I do, and you're actually worried about real threats to them, A war with Iran. Genetic engineering, GMO foods, all these new wars. These are the real threats. And remember Fukushima. For 3 months, while it was big in the news, they said, there's really no radiation, everything's fine, nothing melted down, it's under control. The reactors, several of them are still smoking and still melting down today. And you don't see any warnings about, hey, don't touch the junk coming in on the California coastline, because it's been soaked in plutonium that's going to be radioactive for billions of years. No, it's just, you know what? Whatever. And they're going to build more reactors, and they're going to let the old ones melt down and rot now. And it's kind of like, oh, we've had Fukushima. Why not have more? The elite have gone crazy. They're really good at training the cops to boss the citizens around and surveil everybody and spy on everybody and act like Joe Schmoes, you know, a dangerous terrorist. But when it comes to real threats, the globalists could care less, because I think they become megalomaniacal. I think they become absolutely hubris-filled and are crazy. And history shows that. Elites normally get like that. After we play this piece, I'm then going to get into this Joseph Kony 2012, 100 million views in just the last week. The State Department, Bill Gates behind it. Total invasion propaganda for Africa. And it really ties into how they've gotten the pro-war left to get so incredibly pro-war. And that's all part of the joke of giving Obama a Nobel Peace Prize and the rest of it. But here's that report first from our reporter, Darren McBreen. See the full video report with video instead of just audio of your radio listener at Infowars.com. Here it is.
Government-funded universities across the Western world are developing massive warehouses full of bioweapons that they say is for biodefense under the BioShield program. Airborne Ebola, smallpox, bubonic plague, bird flu, and the H1N1 superbug are being weaponized and kept in moderately secured facilities like at the Galveston National Laboratory on the campus of the University of Texas. Now, this may be one of the biggest threats we now face, as the risk of a deadly virus escaping one of these laboratories and starting a global pandemic, well, it is a clear and present danger.
Weaponized airborne Ebola, super weaponized viruses and bacteria that kill over 90%, 9 out of 10 people on your street dead.
The National Research Council, which is an arm of the National Academy of Sciences, released a report concerning potential hazardous risk associated with the new multi-million-dollar infectious disease research lab currently under construction in Kansas. It's located only 120 miles west of Kansas City. It's called the National Bio and Agro Defense Facility, and even though it's a Level 4 biolab, which is the highest secured rating issued by the CDC, the expert panel found that there is nearly a 70% chance that a disease will escape the laboratory during its planned 50-year operational lifespan.
Hit pause.
And it went on to say that the...
Hit pause and back it up 10 seconds. Now, there are over 200 of these already built. Most of them in Level 2 facilities with Level 4. Level 4 is weaponized smallpox, weaponized anthrax, okay? Weaponized zoologicals, everything. Weaponized systems, funguses that attack crops, you name it. And they've spent over $50 billion on developing these weapons in just the last 2 decades, and it's accelerated. So understand, the government, we're showing the reports on screen, says 70% chance in 50 years that something will get out of this facility. And there's hundreds of them. That's one facility. So it's a certainty when you've got 200 plus that it's going to get out in the next few years, unless we raise a big enough hue and cry. I'm trying to save lives here. How much of what I've warned you of has come true? There's a matter of time till this gets out. And when we're asking, why is the system doing this when they have actuaries? They know it's going to get out. They're getting you ready for it. They want to reduce population, and they're going to use the release to take more liberty. And they'll pose as the saviors and sell you the drug. Porky Pig on... I mean, they couldn't even talk. They couldn't even... And I couldn't talk when I saw it. And now it's not even a news issue. Impeachment has begun against Obama. Did you open up your paper Wednesday morning and read that, or Thursday, or Friday, or Saturday, or Sunday? Founders knew you don't just let the president pick his officers and fund everything. You'll get a president who'll take over. like in every other country. And the Pentagon, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman Joint Chiefs, the Chairman Dempsey, looked at him and said, no, we take orders from the UN. The senators actually started flushing. Their faces turned red, and they sounded like Porky P. Porky P. The answer is no. I did web searches every day since. My entire team did nothing. Nothing. That's why the newspapers are dying. That's why people are tuning out of mainstream television, because they've got to find somebody that will tell them what's really going on. I remember it was in the radiation monitors.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know
Okay, I started to tell you what's coming up today, and of course, burrowed right into the first top story that I've been harping on since last Tuesday, when the Pentagon went before Congress and said, you have no authority over war now. And the Congress is like, well, the Constitution, we declare war, we fund you, we commission the officers, because that'll work great. Because America is in love with being ripped off and scammed and cheated, and that's why we're going to go the way of Nazi Germany or Stalinist Russia, unless we wake up quick. So my point is that secret arrest of citizens, face scanning cameras, downloading our phones with no warrants, UN running the military.